Let's talk about fatherhood, should we, to start with, especially in the media spotlight. That's very difficult. What sort of challenges has it thrown up for you?
Well, it was a difficult one. I come from a very poor family, and a big one in the sense that there was 9 of us in a 2-bedroom bungalow. So time was pretty tough. I had a very tough upbringing, and I wanted to break out of that circle. And of course, football is presented me with that. Aston Villa had visited our shows, and obviously I had the opportunity to play against them and impress them. And Graham Taylor spotted me and invited me to Aston Villa. And the rest is pretty much history from there.
Yeah. Your dad was not necessarily a good role model for you, though, was he?
Well, he wasn't, because he was obviously the dominating figure in the family. At times he can be very abusive.
Physically abusive?
Physically abusive. It wasn't the ideal role model, so to speak. But I've learned a lot in that period of time, and I didn't want to get into that category. I didn't want my upbringing to be full of that sort of bad memories. So that's when I decided that I wanted to have a go at football, and of course Aston Villa has given me that opportunity to do that.
Why did you given that you wanted to be such a good role model for your own son, your first son, why did you let him sort of drift away from you?
Well, it's basically, there's a combination of different things there. One, with my time schedule and being based up in Manchester and being a footballer on an everyday basis, not sitting here and saying that I'm a total perfect father. I've made mistakes along the way, and I'm sure that I would love to turn the clock back. However,
what would you do differently if you did?
Well, probably have a lot stable family before I even think of having a child. Get into a more serious relationship.
Because you didn't really want to have him, did you?
Yeah, well, my relationship wasn't stable at all. It wasn't stable, and we both knew that.
Did you regret asking Katie to have an abortion?
In some way, but what I see of Harvey now, all I want to do is just play an integral part in having an input in my son's upbringing. And unfortunately, that has been taken away from me in many ways.
In what sort of ways?
Ways that I have not enough access to him. Never been invited up to my home in Manchester. Never been invited to see my other side of the family. You know, all these different things and things that she has said about me in the past is quite hurtful, and hence why the book revealed the truth that has happened between me and her over the past 7 years.
To what extent can you put yourself in her position, and the fact that she feels that you've let her down so many times to begin with, and he had terrible disabilities, didn't he, and yet you weren't there as far as Katie was concerned. So she's almost using the child, you know, to beat you with now.
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge that?
I acknowledge that. I hear what you're saying, but does it become a child issue? The child is the one who suffer here, and certainly she had used Harvey in many reasons against me, and I felt that at that particular time it's a bit unfair for what I was going through. I was going through a pretty difficult time myself as a footballer on my way out of Manchester United. I felt that I wanted to rectify that, and I felt that I needed help from her to help me to be productive in terms of rescuing my career at Man United, and she never wanted to help in that respect either. And things
you weren't faithful to her though, were you? Didn't help?
Well, I'm totally
We women are
it.
Very weird about our men being faithful to us. We don't like it at all.
I think it's important. I think everybody who's in a relationship will like the partner to be faithful. And I'm saying here I wasn't the perfect boyfriend. She knows that. But there again, that's why I said our relationship wasn't stable. So there's reason why that we shouldn't have Harvey in the first place. But that's beside the point. The point is that we do have a kid now, and we want to make progress in terms of what's right for Harvey's sake. And too many times now I think that she had used Harvey's situation to sort of hamper my input in his upbringing.
Peter Andre wanted to adopt him.
Yeah, which as I said in the book, that I think I suggested that I call him a Hmong. And at that time I felt that way because it was...
You say that you wanted to throttle him. You wanted to throttle him in the car.
Well, yeah, well, pretty much. Because of what he said, I thought he was very disrespectful at the time. I don't hate the guy because I don't know him. I've only met him maybe twice, if that many times. I don't hate him because he married to my ex. I'm not interested in, as a matter of fact, I'm not interested in that at all. I'm interested in my kid. And he knew I was trying to make progress in terms of getting to know my kid. And I thought when he came out and said that he wanted to adopt my kid, I think that was very disrespectful. And the fact that he knew that I've been coming to the home and trying my hardest in terms of seeing in Harvey. I understand that he has to play a role because that comes as part of the baggage when he get involved with Kate. But to stand there and say he was going to adopt my kid, and now look what's happened 4 years down the road. Is he prepared to come and adopt Harvey at this stage? I don't think so. So the onus fall back on the father, which is me in the first place, and that should not have been mentioned.
How bad are his disabilities? How is
I don't think it's as bad as she make it out to be, because I have the full sight of going to Harvey's school. I've seen the other kids in that school in particular, and some kids in wheelchair and cannot get out of the wheelchair. Harvey is fortunate. We know he's got a bit of disability. Yes, we know he's got a problem with his eyes. We acknowledge that, but he's nowhere as bad. He's got perfect hands, perfect feet. He runs around, he comes in the house, he turns on his DVD, he does all those things. Yes, as I said, but in terms of disability, I think he will be fine in comparison to the others in that particular school. And I think she does play it out pretty well, and we have got to give her that, but he's not as bad as what she's making him out to be.
He just needs his daddy in his life a bit more, perhaps.
Correct, and that's...
Talk to me about when you first came from Tobago to Birmingham and you were dealing with Ron Atkinson. I mean, he's been known to have inappropriate language, shall we put it, on occasion, not least with Marcel Desailly. Did you come across that when you were working for him?
A little bit, but I was so focused on my football at that particular time because I know that this was the one opportunity for me to become somebody and to make a name in the game. So those little accusations or the little slur in the background never really hampered me.
Did he ever say stuff to you, face to face?
No, he might have said things jokingly, but I never take
Jokingly?
Yeah,
I mean, would you take it as a joke,
well,
or did you feel you
maybe
had to?
As a young man I did, because as I said, I had other intentions. It wasn't disrespectful at the time.
What sort of things did he say to you?
Like, you black players, you don't like the coal and this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's his style of management, and you find in management that's what happened. People have different style, and Ron was a man full of life. He's flamboyant, we all know that,
It's rather surprising there's racism in the game if there are managers coming out with that sort of
As I said,
rubbish.
To his defense, I mean, my time of being at Aston Villa under Ron, he has helped me enormously in terms of making me aware.
You shouldn't have to deal with racist slurs while he's helping you along the way.
I totally understand, but also to his defense a little bit, as I said, is that at that particular time he had 8 or 9 black players at Aston Villa.
So you could obviously play, even though you didn't like the cold.
Well, there you go. But he just normally, that was his style of management, and that was the nature of the man. However, what he said about Desailly, I can't condone that, because obviously, as much as I respect Ron and had the opportunity to play under him, I don't accept what he had said about Desailly, of course.
What would you have done if you hadn't been a footballer? Apparently you caught out Lara once, Brian Lara, is that right?
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, in the Caribbean, it's such a lovely, chilled out place. I'm sure you've probably been there. There is no traffic. It's just a peaceful place. Everybody is very friendly. Everyone.
Can you get pictures of you while you're chatting to us about it?
Yeah, I wonder which one is me there. That's with some old friends, and it does bring back fun memories, and it really does bring me back down to earth when I see things like that, where we grew up, and look at the state of the pitch in the background.
Not sure about those trousers.
That was the in thing then.
I'm sure. And if you haven't been a footballer?
I'm not so sure, because I never been able to finish my school because I had to make a decision in terms of coming over here and pursuing my dream, which was to be a footballer. So, I had to make a decision, and my family wasn't particularly happy about me coming over here, but this was the one opportunity I felt that I needed, and lucky enough that I fulfilled my dream.
Now that you've retired from football, what are you going to do now?
Well, I've just been given the opportunity to be the assistant manager of the Trinidad and Tobago national team, which will give me again a great deal of experience experience that will probably enhance me in the future to be a future manager in the Premiership.